The auction house smelled like salt water and desperation. Marina Collins wiped her palms on her waitress uniform, the only professional clothes she owned, and watched wealthy boat collectors sip champagne while they examined vessels worth more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes. She didn't belong here. Everyone knew it. The sidelong glances, the whispered comments, the way the auctioneer's assistant had asked twice if she was in the right place. All of it confirmed what Marina had always known. People like her didn't buy boats. People like her served coffee to people who bought boats. But here she was anyway, clutching a deposit slip that showed exactly $743.28 in her savings account. 2 years of tips, overtime shifts, and saying no to her daughter Lily when she asked for things other kids had without thinking. 2 years of $1 bills smoothed flat and counted obsessively, of quarters rolled and deposited, of choosing between electricity and groceries more times than she wanted to remember. $743. It should have gone toward next month's rent, toward Lily's asthma medication, toward the transmission in her 1998 Honda that made grinding sounds every time she shifted gears. Instead, she was standing in the Clearwater Marine salvage auction on a Thursday afternoon, her manager at the diner barely hiding his annoyance when she called in sick, watching boats she couldn't afford get sold to people who already owned 3. Lot 47, the auctioneer called. The Meridian Explorer. 65-foot research vessel, former property of the Coastal Marine Institute. Been sitting in impound for 4 years. Minimal maintenance, significant water damage, some structural concerns. Sold as is, no warranties, no inspections. Opening bid set at $5,000. Marina craned her neck to see. Through the crowd of polo shirts and boat shoes, she caught a glimpse of the vessel in question. It sat low in the water at the far end of the marina, listing slightly to starboard. Once it had been white, she could tell, but now it was streaked with rust and algae. The upper deck structure, what looked like it had been a research lab, was partially collapsed. Windows were broken or missing entirely. Barnacles covered the waterline like a disease. It looked like something that belonged at the bottom of the ocean, not floating on top of it. 5,000, someone called. A man in his 60s with a deep tan and expensive sunglasses. I have 5,000. Do I hear 6? Silence. The man with the sunglasses smirked. Folks, this is a steal. 65 feet of vessel, research-grade hull, twin diesel engines. That don't run, someone interrupted. Laughter rippled through the crowd. The auctioneer's smile tightened. Needing work? Granted, but the bones are solid. Composite hull, radar equipment, laboratory facilities. Full of mold, another voice added. More laughter. Marina watched the man with the sunglasses check his phone, already losing interest. She'd seen that look before. The casual dismissal of something that had once been valuable. The way rich people discarded things that poor people would treasure. Going once at 5,000, the auctioneer said, his enthusiasm fading. Marina's hand moved before her brain could stop it. 700. The auction house fell silent. Heads turned. The auctioneer blinked. I'm sorry, did you say $700? Her voice was stronger this time, even though her heart hammered against her ribs. That's my bid. The man with the sunglasses turned fully around now, looking her up and down. Taking in the diner uniform, the worn shoes, the purse from Target that had cost $12.99 on clearance. His expression shifted from surprise to amusement. Ma'am, the auctioneer said gently, the opening bid is 5,000. You don't have 5,000, Marina said, meeting the man's eyes. You have 0 bids. I'm offering 700. Cash. Today. A woman in a white linen pantsuit stage whispered to her companion. Is she serious? 700 for that floating coffin? The man with the sunglasses laughed. Lady, you'd be better off lighting your money on fire. At least then you'd stay warm. Heat flooded Marina's face, but she kept her hand up. She learned a long time ago that the worst thing you could do when people mocked you was show them it hurt. The auctioneer looked at his supervisor, an older man with a clipboard who shrugged. We need to clear the impound fees. 700 is better than paying to have it scrapped. Very well. The auctioneer's voice was tight with embarrassment. I have 700. Do I hear 8? The room stayed silent, but the energy had changed. This wasn't an auction anymore. It was a spectacle. The poor waitress about to make the worst financial decision of her life, and everyone was here to witness it. Going once at 700. Twice. He paused, as if giving anyone, a chance to save her from herself. Sold to bidder number 23 for $700. The gavel came down like a gunshot. Marina's legs felt unsteady. She just spent nearly everything she had on a sinking research vessel that everyone agreed was worthless. The walk to the payment window felt like a death march. People watched her pass, some with pity, most with barely concealed amusement. She heard fragments of conversation. Did you see that? $700. Single mom, I heard. Works at that diner on Route 1. Some people just don't understand money management. Child services should be notified. That last one made Marina's hands ball into fists. But she kept walking, one foot in front of the other. The way she'd walked through the hospital when they told her about Jake's accident. The way she'd walked out of the bank when they denied her loan application. The way she'd walked into the social services office to apply for food assistance, swallowing her pride with every step. The payment clerk looked at her with something between sympathy and judgment. Cash or card? Cash. Marina pulled out her deposit slip. I need to withdraw $700 from my savings. You'll need to go to your bank for that. My bank is First National. This is a First National branch. The clerk sighed. We don't typically do withdrawals at auction payments. Please. Marina's voice cracked slightly. I just need to get the money and pay. I have my ID, my account number, everything you need. 20 minutes and 3 supervisor approvals later, Marina counted out $700 in 20s, 10s, and 5s. The clerk counted it twice, as if expecting Marina to have somehow miscalculated her own poverty. Here's your receipt and transfer documents. The vessel is yours as of now. Marina Collins, slip E17. Keys are in the harbor master's office. You're responsible for all dock fees going forward, $200 per month. First month due today. Marina's stomach dropped. $200 a month? Dock fees for a 65-foot vessel. It's in the auction terms. You did read the terms. She hadn't. Of course she hadn't. She'd seen the listing yesterday morning during her break at the diner, made a decision that felt insane and necessary in equal measure, and shown up with her life savings. I don't have another 200. The clerk's expression hardened. Then you need to move the vessel immediately. Otherwise you're in default, and we can seize it. Move it where? It barely floats. That's not my problem. Those are the terms. She slid a packet of papers across the counter. Sign here. And here. Initial here. Marina signed everything in a daze. Her hand shook. $43 left in her account. Lily's medication refill was due next week. Rent was due in 12 days. The Honda needed gas to get to work tomorrow. What had she done? The harbor master's office was a small building near the main dock. Inside, a tired-looking woman in her 50s glanced up from paperwork. Help you. I just bought the Meridian Explorer. I'm here for the keys. The woman's eyebrows rose. You're the one who bought that thing? For $700? That's me. She pulled a key ring from a drawer. Here you go. 2 keys. One for the main cabin, one for the upper deck access. The engine room hatch doesn't lock. Good luck with her. You're going to need it. Marina took the keys. They were heavier than she expected, brass and tarnished green. Can I ask you something? Shoot. Why did it sit here for 4 years? If it was such a problem, why didn't the Marina just scrap it? The woman leaned back in her chair. Legally complicated. The boat belonged to Dr. Reeves, the researcher. When he disappeared, there was no clear owner. Institute claimed they owned it, but his family contested. Took 3 years to sort out in court. By the time we could auction it, nobody wanted it. You're the first person to actually bid. What happened to Dr. Reeves? Nobody knows. One day he's here working on his precious coral research. The next he's gone. Left everything, his car on the lot, his phone on the boat, wallet in his jacket. Coast Guard searched for weeks. Nothing. She shook her head. Some folks say he killed himself. Jumped overboard. Others think he had enemies, something to do with his research. Me? I think he just wanted to disappear. Started a new life somewhere. Why would he do that? Who knows? But I'll tell you something weird. Week before he vanished, he was here every night, working on that boat. Hammering, drilling, moving equipment. Security footage shows him loading heavy containers onto the vessel. Real heavy, needed a hand truck. Then poof. Gone. Marina felt a chill. What was in the containers? Never found out. When the Institute finally got access, the boat was cleaned out. Whatever he'd been working on, it was gone too. Marina thanked her and walked towards slip E17. The sun was starting to lower, painting the water gold. Other boats in the marina were immaculate. Gleaming white hulls, polished chrome, owners washing decks or preparing for sunset cruises. They all looked at the Meridian Explorer with the same expression. Disgust mixed with pity for whoever was stupid enough to buy it. Marina found slip E17 at the furthest end of the marina, where the nice boats didn't go. The Meridian Explorer looked worse up close. The hull had a gash near the waterline that someone had tried to patch with fiberglass that had long since failed. The deck was covered in bird droppings and dead leaves. A door hung off its hinges. The smell of rot and mildew was overwhelming even from the dock. Marina stepped aboard carefully. The deck flexed under her weight in a way that made her stomach turn. Through the broken windows, she could see what had once been a laboratory. Workbenches lined the walls, covered in broken equipment and water damage. Cabinets hung open, their contents long since removed or destroyed. Everything was coated in a thick layer of grime and mold. She tried the first key in the main cabin door. It turned smoothly, and the door opened with a groan that sounded almost human. Inside, the smell intensified. Mildew, rotting carpet, and something else, something chemical and sharp. The main cabin was in worse shape than the lab. Water had clearly gotten in repeatedly. The carpet squished under her feet. Furniture was overturned and rotting. But there was space, God, so much space compared to the tiny two-bedroom apartment she shared with Lily. She moved through slowly, cataloging damage. 3 small cabins branched off from the main area. A galley kitchen with appliances that looked beyond saving. A head with a toilet and sink, both crusted with mineral deposits and worse. And at the back, a door marked Coral Observation Lab. Authorized personnel only. Marina tried the handle. Locked. She tried the second key, but it didn't fit. This was a different lock entirely. Electronic, she realized, seeing the keypad beside the handle. Dead now, probably, but still in place. Strange. Why would a research vessel have an electronic lock on an interior door? She filed it away and continued her tour. The engine room was accessible through a hatch in the main cabin. Marina lifted it and immediately wished she hadn't. The smell that rose up was ancient and foul. She could see the tops of what must be the twin diesel engines, but they were covered in corrosion and leaked fluid onto the bilge below. She closed the hatch and climbed to the upper deck. The research lab took up most of the space. A room about 20 feet by 15 feet with workbenches, storage cabinets, and equipment mounts where expensive instruments had once sat. Everything valuable had been stripped out. What remained was junk. But as Marina looked closer, she noticed things that didn't fit the narrative of abandonment. Fresh scratches on one cabinet, as if someone had recently forced it open. A workbench that had been wiped clean, while everything else was covered in grime. Footprints in the dust that couldn't be more than a few weeks old. Someone had been here. Recently. Marina pulled out her phone and started taking pictures. If she was going to fail, at least she'd document how it happened. Evidence for when Lily asked her someday why they'd been evicted, why they'd had to move in her car, why Mom had thrown away their stability on a rotting boat. She photographed everything. The broken windows, the moldy cabin, the damaged deck, the mysterious locked door. Then she climbed back onto the dock and took photos of the hull, walking around the entire vessel. That's when she noticed something odd. The damage was inconsistent. The upper structures, the lab, the deck, the cabin, were clearly neglected, water-damaged, falling apart. But the hull itself, despite the cosmetic rust and algae, looked solid. Really solid. In that patch near the waterline, it was failing, yes, but underneath the original fiberglass looked intact. Recent, even. She crouched down to look closer. The barnacles were thick in places, but in others, The hull was almost clean, as if someone had scrubbed portions of it recently. Why would someone maintain parts of an abandoned boat while letting the rest fall apart? Admiring your purchase? Marina jumped and turned. A man stood on the dock behind her. Late 60s, deeply tanned, with the weathered look of someone who'd spent a lifetime on the water. He wore cargo shorts and a faded t-shirt that said Clearwater Marine Institute, Research Vessel Crew. Just trying to figure out what I bought, Marina said. He smiled, but it was sad. You bought the Meridian Explorer. Used to be the pride of the Institute's fleet. Before the funding dried up and the board decided research wasn't as profitable as they'd hoped. You worked on her? For 15 years. I was chief engineer. Name's Harold, but everyone calls me Hal. Marina. Everyone calls me the crazy lady who bought the death trap. Hal laughed. Yeah, well, everyone's an expert until they have to actually do something. You got dreams for her? Or are you just looking to flip it? Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. I saw her yesterday, and something just... Marina trailed off. How could she explain the feeling she'd had? The certainty that this broken thing was meant to be hers. Something called to you, Hal finished. Yeah, she does that. The Meridian was special. Is special. The work we did on her. He gazed at the vessel with genuine affection. We mapped coral reefs all along the Gulf Coast. Documented species nobody else could reach. Dr. Reeves, the lead researcher, he designed the observation lab himself. Said it was going to revolutionize how we studied deep reef ecosystems. What happened to Dr. Reeves? Hal's expression darkened. Disappeared. 4 years ago. Was working on something big. Something that had him excited like I'd never seen. Then one day, he just didn't show up for work. Never came back. Institute tried to carry on without him, but the grants dried up. 6 months later, they sold off most of the equipment and let the boat sit. They never found him. Coast Guard looked. Police investigated. Nothing. It's like he vanished into thin air. Hal shook his head. Week before he disappeared, though, he asked me to help him install something in the coral lab. Wouldn't tell me what. Just said it was the most important work of his life. Made me promise not to tell anyone at the Institute. Did you help him? Yeah. We sealed off a section of the observation lab. Built a false wall, reinforced it, made it watertight. He said the pressures involved required special containment. I figured it was some kind of deep water sample storage, but he trailed off. But what? But the way he talked about it. The security he installed. The locks. It was more than just samples. He was protecting something. Or hiding it. Marina's heart beat faster. The Coral Observation Lab. The one with the electronic lock. That's the one. After he disappeared, Institute tried to get in. Couldn't crack the code. Brought in specialists. Nothing worked. Eventually they gave up, said whatever was in there wasn't worth the cost of cutting through the wall. They auctioned the boat with the lab still sealed. So whatever Dr. Reeves was working on is still in there. Hal met her eyes. Which means it's yours now. For whatever that's worth. They stood in silence for a moment, both looking at the vessel. Marina's mind raced. A sealed laboratory. Something Dr. Reeves thought was worth disappearing over. Something he'd gone to elaborate lengths to protect. Hal, can I ask you something? Do you think he's alive? Hal considered this. Honestly? Yeah. I think he's somewhere warm, living under a fake name, and occasionally wondering if anyone ever found his secret. Guy was too careful, too methodical to have an accident. If he wanted to vanish, he'd vanish clean. Why leave it all behind? That's the question, isn't it? Hal pulled out a business card and handed it to her. I do marine repair work now. Cheap, for people I like. You need anything, you call me. First consultation is free. I'll tell you what's fixable and what's fantasy. Why would you help me? Because someone needs to care about that boat again. And because everyone else at that auction looked at you like you were stupid, and I hate that look. You got guts. That's worth something. He started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Marina, if you do get that lab open, call me first. I'd like to know what the old man thought was worth all the secrecy. After Hal left, Marina sat on the dock and watched the sun sink toward the horizon. She needed to pick up Lily from after-school care by 6. Needed to figure out dinner. Probably spaghetti again because it was cheap and Lily didn't complain. Needed to start planning how to tell her daughter that Mommy had made a huge mistake. Her phone rang. The diner. Marina? It's Joe, her manager. Look, I heard you bought some boat today. Yeah, I did. During your shift, when you called in sick. Marina closed her eyes. Joe, I'm sorry, I gotta let you go. This is the third time you've called in this month, and lying about being sick, that's grounds for termination. You can come get your final check Friday. Joe, please. I need this job. How about my daughter? Should have thought about that before you spend your money on a boat, instead of showing up to work. We're done, Marina. He hung up. Marina sat there, phone in hand, and finally the tears came. Not dramatic sobs, just quiet tears that rolled down her face and dripped on her waitress uniform. The uniform she wouldn't need anymore because she just lost the job that kept her and Lily fed and housed. $43 in her account. No job. A boat that was falling apart. Rent due in 12 days. She'd ruined them. But even as the panic rose in her throat, another part of her brain, the part that had kept her alive through Jake's death, through poverty, through every crisis, started working. Calculating. Planning. She had a boat. It was broken, but it was hers. She had a sealed laboratory that might contain something valuable. She had Hal, who knew boats and seemed willing to help. And she had nothing left to lose. Sometimes the biggest risks came when you'd already lost everything. Marina wiped her eyes, stood up, and took one more look at the Meridian Explorer. In the fading light, she looked almost noble. A research vessel that had once done important work, now forgotten and mocked. Just like Marina herself. Okay, she said quietly to the boat. You and me. Let's figure this out. The drive to pick up Lily was a blur. Marina wiped her eyes, fixed her makeup in the rearview mirror, and plastered on a smile before walking into the after-school program. Lily was in the corner reading, as always. At 7 years old, she was small for her age, with her father's dark hair and Marina's gray eyes. She looked up when Marina entered, and her face brightened in a way that made Marina's heart ache. Mommy, did you do something exciting today? Marina knelt down. Why do you ask that? You have your adventure face. The one you had when we went to the beach that time. God, this kid saw too much. I had to do something kind of crazy. Good crazy or bad crazy. I'm not sure yet, baby. But I want to show you. You want to see? They drove to the marina as the last light faded. Lily chattered about her day, about the book she'd read, about how Tommy had gotten in trouble for throwing rocks, about how Miss Jennifer had let them have extra art time. Marina tried to focus on her daughter's voice, to stay present, but her mind kept circling back to the sealed laboratory, to Dr. Reeves, to the mystery waiting in slip E17. When they pulled up to the marina, Lily fell silent. Is that a boat? That's our boat. We have a boat. We have a boat. Lily's eyes went huge. We have a boat. She scrambled out of the car before Marina could stop her, running down the dock. We have a boat. Marina followed more slowly, watching her daughter's excitement. Lily stopped at the stern, craning her neck up at the weathered vessel. She's big, Mommy. 65 feet. What's her name? The Meridian Explorer. Lily tested the words. The Meridian Explorer. Then, louder, calling up to the boat. Hello, Meridian Explorer. We're your new family. Marina felt something crack in her chest. Only a 7-year-old could look at this disaster and see possibility. Can we go inside? It's not safe, baby. Not yet. But we can look around from here. They walked the dock together, Lily asking 1,000 questions. What had the boat been used for? Where had it traveled? Could they live on it? Could they paint it purple? We'll see, Lily. We'll see. As darkness settled over the marina, they sat on the dock together, legs dangling over the water. Lily leaned against her mother, and for a moment, everything else fell away. The job loss, the money troubles, the impossible task ahead. None of it mattered as much as this moment with her daughter. Mommy, yeah, baby. I think this is the best thing you've ever gotten us. Marina's throat tightened. Even though it's broken, everything's broken before it's fixed. You taught me that. Remember when you fixed my bike? She did remember. A garage sale bike with bent wheels and a chain that kept falling off. Marina had spent 3 nights with YouTube tutorials and borrowed tools, getting it working again. Lily had been so proud. This is a little bigger than a bike. But you're really good at fixing things. Lily looked up at her with complete faith. You'll figure out. You always do. Marina pulled her close, breathing in the strawberry scent of her daughter's shampoo. What if I can't this time? Then we'll be broken together. That's okay, too. They sat there as the stars came out, mother and daughter in their impossible boat. Marina thought about Dr. Reeves, who'd built something secret and then walked away from everything. She thought about sealed laboratories and mysteries worth disappearing over. She thought about having $43 to her name and a week and a half to make rent. And somewhere in the darkest part of her mind, a small voice whispered, "What if there's something in that lab? What if Dr. Reeves left something valuable behind?" It was probably nothing. Probably just research notes or equipment that meant nothing to anyone but scientists. But that word probably left just enough room for maybe. And maybe was all Marina had left. "Come on, baby," she said finally. "Let's go home. We've got spaghetti waiting." As they walked back to the car, Lily turned for one last look at the Meridian Explorer. "I love her, Mommy, even though she's broken." Marina looked back, too. The vessel sat in the darkness, keeping its secrets. "Waiting." "Yeah," she said softly. "Me too." The next morning, Marina woke to reality crashing down like a wave. No job. $43. Rent due in 11 days. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a research vessel with a sealed laboratory that might contain absolutely nothing of value. She made Lily breakfast, cereal with the last of the milk, and got her ready for school. The routine felt surreal, like going through the motions of a life that was already over. "Are we going back to the boat today?" Lily asked, backpack on, excitement in her eyes. "Not today, baby. Mommy has to look for work." "But what about fixing the Meridian?" "We'll figure that out. First, I need to make sure we can pay rent." Lily's face fell, but she didn't argue. She never argued. That was the worst part. At 7 years old, she'd already learned that asking for things only made her mother feel worse. After dropping Lily at school, Marina drove to the marina. She told herself she was just checking on the boat, making sure it hadn't sunk overnight. But that was a lie. She was drawn there by something she couldn't name, by the locked door and the mystery behind it. The Meridian Explorer looked even worse in morning light. Every flaw was visible: the rust, the damage, the years of neglect. Marina climbed aboard and made her way to the sealed door of the Coral Observation Lab. She stood there for a long moment, studying the electronic keypad. Dead, obviously. No power to the boat meant no power to the lock. But the door itself was solid, reinforced. Hal had said they'd built it to withstand pressure. What kind of pressure? Water pressure? Or the pressure of people trying to get in? Marina tried the handle anyway. Locked tight. She pulled on it, pushed against it, threw her shoulder against it. Nothing. The door didn't even rattle. "You're not getting in that way." She spun around. A woman stood in the cabin doorway. Mid-40s, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, expensive athletic wear that screamed money. She had the look of someone used to getting what they wanted. "Can I help you?" Marina asked, try to keep her voice level. "This is private property." "I know. Your property. As of yesterday." The woman stepped inside, looking around with barely concealed disgust. "I'm Catherine Westbrook. I represent a group of investors interested in purchasing marine vessels for salvage." "It's not for sale." Catherine smiled. "You haven't heard my offer yet. $10,000. Cash. Today. That's more than 14 times what you paid." Marina's heart jumped. 10,000 would solve everything. Rent for months. Lily's medication. A new car. But something in Catherine's smile made her hesitate. Why would you pay 10,000 for a boat that's falling apart? Salvage value. The hull alone is worth that in scrap metal. Plus the equipment, even broken, has value to the right buyers. What equipment? The Institute stripped everything. Not everything. Catherine's eyes flicked to the sealed door. "I understand there's a laboratory that was never accessed. That alone could contain valuable research equipment." There it was. The real reason. Catherine wasn't interested in salvage. She wanted whatever was in that lab. "Who told you about the sealed lab?" "It's public record. The Institute's inventory mentioned it. They just never bothered to get in." Catherine pulled out a checkbook. 15,000. Final offer. You'd be stupid to turn it down. Marina thought about $15,000. About what it could mean for her and Lily. About security and stability and not having to count quarters for groceries. But she also thought about Catherine's eagerness, about the way her eyes had fixed on that door, about the fact that someone was willing to pay $15,000 for a boat that sold for $700 just yesterday. "No," Marina said. "Excuse me." I said no. "The boat's not for sale." Catherine's smile vanished. "You're making a mistake. That vessel is a liability. The dock fees alone will bankrupt you. And when you can't pay, the marina will seize it and you'll get nothing. Then I'll get nothing. But at least I'll know what's in that lab first." "You think there's something valuable in there?" Catherine laughed. Dr. Reeves was a marine biologist. At best, you'll find coral samples and research notes. At worst, 4 years of rotten decay. You're fantasizing about treasure that doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, why are you offering $15,000? Catherine's expression hardened. "Last chance, $20,000. But this offer expires when I walk out that door." "Then I guess it's expired." For a moment, Marina thought Catherine might argue further. But instead, she pulled out a business card and dropped it on the filthy counter. "When you realize you can't afford to keep this floating disaster, call me. Though by then, my offer will be considerably lower." She left without another word. Marina heard her footsteps on the deck, then silence. $20,000. Marina had just turned down $20,000. She picked up the business card. Catherine Westbrook, Maritime Asset Recovery. A cell phone number, nothing else. Marina photographed it with her phone, then tucked it in her pocket. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Miss Collins? This is Melissa Porter from Clearwater Elementary. I'm calling about Lily." Marina's blood went cold. "Is she okay?" "She's fine, but we need to discuss her medication situation. The school nurse tells me we've been out of her asthma medication for 3 days. You were supposed to bring in a new inhaler. The refill." Marina had forgotten. Or more accurately, she couldn't afford it. The prescription was $80 with her insurance. $80 she didn't have. "I'm sorry. I'll bring it today. Ms. Collins, this is a serious safety issue. If Lily has an attack and we don't have medication." I said I'll bring it today. She hung up before the nurse could respond. $80. She had 43. Where was she supposed to get the rest? Marina sat down on the dirty floor of the cabin and pulled out her phone. She opened her banking app, staring at the number. $43.28. She opened her email. Bills waiting. Electric company, final notice. Cell phone past due. Car insurance, cancellation warning. The smart thing would be to call Catherine back. Take the $20,000. Solve every problem. Give Lily the stability she deserved. But Marina couldn't stop thinking about the way Catherine had looked at that door. The eagerness barely concealed beneath her professional demeanor. The way she'd increased her offer so quickly, like money meant nothing compared to whatever was inside. Dr. Reeves had disappeared, had built a secret laboratory and sealed it tight, had left behind his whole life rather than reveal what was inside. What if it was worth more than $20,000? What if it was worth enough to actually change everything? Marina stood up and pulled out Hal's business card. She dialed. He answered on the second ring. "Hal speaking." "Hal, it's Marina, the woman who bought the Meridian." "Hey there. How's the boat treating you?" "Like the money pit everyone said it would be." "Listen, you said you could tell me what's fixable. I need to know something specific. That sealed laboratory. Is there any way to get it open without power?" Hal was quiet for a moment. "You could cut through the wall. It's reinforced, but with the right tools." "I don't have the right tools. Or any tools. Or money for tools. Then you need to get power to the boat. Restore the electrical system enough to run the electronic lock." "How hard is that?" "Depends on how bad the damage is. Could be a day's work, could be a week. I need to look at it." Marina made a decision. "Can you come today? I know I said I can't pay, but I'll figure something out. I just need to know if it's even possible. I'll be there in an hour." "And Marina? Don't worry about payment yet. Let's see what we're dealing with first." After hanging up, Marina sat in the cabin and tried to think. She needed $80 for Lily's medication. She needed $200 for this month's dock fees, or they'd seize the boat. She needed $1,200 for rent in 10 days. And she had $43. The pawn shop was 3 blocks from the marina. Marina had driven past it 1,000 times, but never gone inside. It had always represented failure. The place you went when you'd run out of options. Now she was out of options. Inside, the shop smelled like dust and desperation. A man behind the counter looked up from his phone. He was maybe 30, with tattoos covering both arms and a bored expression. "Help you." Marina pulled off her wedding ring, the only thing of value she owned. Jake had saved for 6 months to buy it. White gold with a small diamond. Nothing fancy, but it had been theirs. "How much can I get for this?" The man took it, examined it under a light, tested it with some kind of acid. 200. "It's worth more than that. To you, maybe. To me, it's scrap. 200. Take it or leave it." Marina thought about Lily, about her inhaler, about the doc fees, about having just enough to survive another week while she figured out what to do. "I'll take it." He counted out 220s and had her sign paperwork. The whole transaction took 5 minutes. 5 minutes to sell the last physical reminder of her husband. Marina walked out with $243 and an empty ring finger. She'd worn that ring for 9 years. Through Jake's illness, his death, every struggle since. And now it was gone, converted into cash that would be spent and forgotten within days. She sat in her car and allowed herself 1 minute to cry. Then she wiped her eyes, drove to the pharmacy, and paid for Lily's medication. $163 left. Hal was waiting at the boat when she returned. He'd brought a toolbox and a serious expression. "Let's see what we're dealing with," he said. They spent the next hour in the engine room. Hal poked, prodded, tested, and occasionally swore. Marina watched, trying to understand, feeling useless. Finally, he climbed out and wiped his hands on a rag. Good news and bad news. Good news, the hull is solid. That's why I told you the bones were good. Dr. Reeves maintained the structural integrity religiously. Bad news, everything else is shot. Engines are seized, electrical system is corroded, plumbing is a disaster. Can it be fixed? Sure, with about $50,000 and 6 months of work. Marina's heart sank. That's not helpful. But Hal continued, "If all you want is power to that electronic lock, I can jury-rig something. Run a generator, patch into the lab's dedicated circuit." Dr. Reeves set it up with battery backup and its own power supply. "If that's still functional, we might be able to get the keypad working." "How long would that take?" "Day, maybe 2. I need a generator, some wire, basic supplies. Maybe 300 in materials." Marina did the math. She had $163. "What if I only have half that?" Hal studied her face. "You're really broke, aren't you?" "I turned down $20,000 an hour ago because I think there's something in that lab worth more. So yes, I'm really broke. And possibly really stupid. Someone offered you 20 grand for this boat?" Marina told him about Catherine, about the offers, the eagerness, the way she'd looked at the sealed door. Hal whistled. "That's interesting. Very interesting. Tell you what, I've got a generator in my garage. You pay for wire and supplies, I'll donate my labor. Call it investment. If there's nothing in that lab, you owe me nothing. If there's something, we negotiate." "Why would you do that?" "Because Dr. Reeves was my friend. Because I want to know what he thought was worth disappearing over. And because I like long shots." He held out his hand. "Deal." Marina shook it. "Deal." They went to the marine supply store together. Hal knew what to buy, how to get the cheapest versions that would still work. Wire, connectors, a junction box, basic tools. The bill came to $147. Marina paid in cash, watching her buffer against disaster shrink to $16. Back at the boat, Hal got to work. Marina tried to help, but mostly she stayed out of the way and handed him tools. As he worked, he talked. Dr. Reeves was brilliant, you know? Not just smart, brilliant. Could see patterns nobody else saw. He'd look at a reef and tell you its whole history just from the coral structure. The Institute was lucky to have him. Why did he work for them if he was so brilliant? Couldn't he have gone somewhere bigger? He liked it here. Said big institutions were too political, too focused on grants and publications. Here he could just do the work. And he was obsessed with Gulf Coast reefs. Said they were dying and nobody cared because they weren't as pretty as Caribbean reefs. His life's work was documenting them before they disappeared. Doesn't sound like someone who'd steal research or hide treasure. Hal paused in his work. No, it doesn't. Which makes you wonder what changed. What did he find that made him throw away everything he cared about? They worked through the afternoon. Hal ran wiring from the generator through the cabin to the sealed door. He traced the dedicated circuit Dr. Reeves had installed, finding it remarkably intact, protected, waterproof, built to last. He really didn't want anyone getting in here, Hal muttered. This is serious security for a research lab. As the sun started to lower, Hal made the final connections. Okay, moment of truth. If the battery backup is still functional, and if the circuit isn't fried, and if the keypad still works, we might get power. He started the generator. It roared to life, loud in the quiet marina. Hal flipped switches, checked connections, and slowly, like something waking from a long sleep, the keypad beside the sealed door lit up. Red LED numbers glowed. 0-0-0-0. I'll be damned, Hal breathed. It works. Marina stared at the keypad. After 4 years, it worked. But that left the biggest question. What's the code? No idea. Dr. Reeves never told me. Could be anything. Birth date, favorite number, random sequence. Hal pulled out his phone. Let me see if I can find anything about him online. Maybe something will give us a clue. They searched together. Dr. Marcus Reeves, marine biologist, age 47 when he disappeared. Born March 15th, 1967. Marina tried 0-3-1-5. The keypad buzzed, flashed red. Wrong code. She tried 1-9-6-7. Red again. Institute was founded in 1982, Hal said. She tried it. Red. They tried dates related to famous coral discoveries, to important research papers, to everything they could find about Dr. Reeves' life. Nothing worked. Maybe it's not about him, Marina said. Maybe it's about what's inside. How would that help us? We don't know what's inside. Marina thought about Dr. Reeves' obsession. Gulf Coast reefs. Dying coral. Documentation before it all disappeared. What's the most important reef he studied? Hal considered. The Meridian Reef. It's where the boat got its name. Massive reef system about 60 miles offshore. He spent years documenting it. Said it was the most biodiverse reef in the Gulf. Published dozens of papers about it. When did he start studying it? Let me check. Hal scrolled through his phone. First paper was published in 1999. Would have started research a year or two before. Marina tried 1-9-9-9. Red. 1-9-9-8. Red. 1-9-9-7. The keypad beeped. Green light. And with a soft click, the lock disengaged. They stared at each other. You did it, Hal whispered. Marina's hand trembled as she reached for the handle. This was it. Whatever Dr. Reeves had thought was worth disappearing over. Whatever Catherine had been willing to pay $20,000 sight unseen for. She pulled a handle. The door opened smoothly, revealing darkness beyond. Hal handed her a flashlight. Ladies first. Marina stepped through the doorway into the sealed laboratory. The air inside was different, dry, climate-controlled somehow. Her flashlight beam swept across the space. It was larger than she'd expected. The false wall Hal had built extended the lab into what should have been storage. Workbenches lined the walls, covered with equipment that looked intact, protected. Computer monitors sat dark but undamaged. And in the center of the room, taking up most of the floor space, stood a large cylindrical tank about 8 feet tall and 6 feet in diameter. The tank was filled with water, and in that water, my God, Hal breathed. The tank held coral, but not dead specimens or samples. Living coral, still alive after 4 years sealed in this room. It glowed with bioluminescence, casting blue-green light that made the whole lab look like an underwater cave. But that wasn't the most remarkable thing. Growing on the coral, around it, seemingly part of it, were formations Marina had never seen before. Structures that looked almost crystalline, catching the light and throwing it back in rainbow patterns. They pulsed gently, as if breathing. What is that? Marina whispered. Hal moved closer, his face illuminated by the strange glow. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Marina noticed a laptop on the workbench, connected to the tank by cables. She tried to open it, but it was password protected. Next to it sat a journal. Handwritten notes in what must be Dr. Reeves' writing. She opened it to the first page. Day 1 of isolation. I've sealed the lab and secured the specimens. what I've discovered will change everything we know about coral biology, about ocean chemistry, about the very nature of marine ecosystems. But I can't publish. Not yet. Not until I understand the implications. Marina flipped through pages. Dense scientific notation mixed with personal observations. Drawings of the crystalline formations. Chemical formulas. And then, about halfway through, a passage that made her blood run cold. The pharmaceutical companies would kill for this. Literally. The potential applications are beyond anything currently on the market. Conservative estimate, $500 million in the first year alone. But if they get their hands on it before I can protect it, before I can ensure it's used correctly, the reef will be destroyed. Every meridian formation scraped clean, extinct within a year. Marina kept reading, her heart pounding. I've been approached, threatened. They know I found something. The Institute board is pressuring me to share my research. I can't trust anyone. The only solution is to disappear, to seal everything until the time is right. Until I can find someone who will protect the reef, not exploit it. The entries grew more paranoid, more desperate. They're watching me, following me. I have days, maybe hours. I've left clues for the right person. Someone who needs it badly enough to dig deep. Someone who'll understand what's at stake. The final entry was dated the day before Dr. Reeves disappeared. Tomorrow I walk away from everything. I've stored enough viable samples to continue the research elsewhere, under a new identity. The mother colony stays here, protected. Whoever finds it, please, understand what you have. The meridian formations produce a compound we've designated MRC7. In preliminary tests, it showed remarkable properties. Anti-inflammatory, regenerative, potentially revolutionary for treating autoimmune diseases, tissue damage, even certain cancers. But harvesting it destroys the coral. We need to synthesize it, not strip mine the reef. I'm leaving my research, my formulas, everything you need. Just promise me you'll protect the source. Don't let them destroy it for profit. Marina looked up at Hal. He found a miracle drug in the coral. Hal was staring at the tank with new understanding. And he disappeared to protect it. These formations, MRC7, they're still producing it. Must be. That's why the tank is still alive. He set up a closed system, self-sustaining. Jesus, Marina, do you understand what you have here? She did, and it terrified her. Catherine wasn't interested in research equipment. She knew. Somehow she knew about this. The pharmaceutical companies, Hal said, they're still looking, still trying to find it. Marina's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I know what's in the lab. $50,000. Final offer. You have 24 hours. She showed Hal. His face went pale. They're watching. They must have someone at the marina. Someone who saw us get the door open. Marina looked at the glowing tank, at the miracle growing inside. At something worth $50,000 to buy sight unseen, which meant it was worth so much more. Dr. Reeves had walked away from his whole life to protect this. Had lived 4 years in hiding, trusting that someday the right person would find it. And now Marina had to decide what to do. Take $50,000 and solve every problem. Or keep the secret and figure out how to use it without destroying what it came from. The boat creaked around them. The generator hummed. And in the tank, the meridian formations pulsed with ancient light, holding secrets worth more than money could measure. Al, Marina said quietly, I need you to help me understand something. If this MRC7 is real, if it does what Dr. Reeves says, how much would it really be worth? Hal pulled out his phone and started searching. Let me check comparable pharmaceutical discoveries. He scrolled, calculated, his expression growing more serious. Marina, if this works even half as well as he claims, we're not talking millions. We're talking billions. The market for autoimmune treatments alone is over $100 billion annually. A revolutionary new compound could capture 10–20% of that. Billion with AB. Billion with AB. But here's the thing. You can't just walk into a pharma company with a tank of glowing coral and expect a check. You need testing, FDA approval, clinical trials. That takes years and millions in investment. So, it's worthless to me right now. Not worthless. You have the source. You have Dr. Reeves' research. And someone out there is desperate enough to pay 50 grand just to keep you quiet. Hal met her eyes. The question is, what do you want to do with it? Marina thought about Lily. About $16 in her bank account. About rent due in 10 days and no job and a daughter who needed stability more than anything. 50,000 would buy time, would let her breathe, would solve the immediate crisis. But Dr. Reeves had trusted someone would protect this, had believed enough in that possibility that he'd sacrificed everything. I want to do it right, Marina said, but I don't know how. Then we figured out. Together. But first, we need to keep you safe. If someone's watching, if they know you found this, you could be in danger. As if summoning it, Marina's phone rang. Unknown number again. She answered. Hello. Ms. Collins. A man's voice, smooth and professional. My name is Richard Chun. I represent Helix Pharmaceutical. I believe you have something that belongs to us. I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't insult my intelligence. Dr. Reeves stole proprietary research from our company 4 years ago. We've been searching for it ever since. The meridian formations are ours by right of discovery. We funded his initial research. If that's true, why didn't you come forward when he disappeared? A pause. Our legal team advised discretion. But Ms. Collins, we're prepared to be generous. $100,000 for the return of our property. You can walk away, no questions asked. 100,000. The number made Marina dizzy. And if I say no, then we'll pursue legal channels. The Institute will confirm our funding relationship. A judge will rule the research belongs to us. You'll get nothing, and you'll have wasted everyone's time. I need to think about it. You have until tomorrow morning. After that, the offer drops to 50,000. And Ms. Collins, I'd advise you not to speak with any competitors. Helix doesn't respond well to betrayal. He hung up. Marina looked at Hal. They just threatened me and offered you 100 grand. If they funded his research, do they have a legal claim? Maybe. Probably depends on the contract. But Marina, think about this. If they had a clear legal right, why offer money? Why not just sue you and take it? Because they can't prove it exists without admitting they knew Dr. Reeves stole it, which means they were complicit or negligent. Hal smiled. Smart. You're learning. Marina's mind raced. Catherine had offered 20,000, then 50,000. Now Helix was offering 100,000. Each offer revealed more desperation, more value. What if I don't sell to anyone? What if I find a way to do this myself? Then you need lawyers, scientists, investors, people you can trust. And Marina, I hate to say it, but you need money to make money. You can't develop a drug on $16 and hope. He was right. But the thought of giving this up, of letting it disappear into some pharmaceutical company's pipeline where it might be buried or monopolized or used to destroy the very reef that produced it. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a text from a number she recognized. The school. Ms. Collins, this is Principal Matthews. We need to schedule a meeting regarding Lily's attendance and your financial obligations to the aftercare program. Please call to arrange time. The real world crashing back in. While she stood in this glowing laboratory, contemplating billion-dollar discoveries, her daughter's school was calling about unpaid bills. I have to pick up Lily, Marina said. I need to think. Can you stay here? Make sure nobody tries to get in. I'll lock everything up tight. You go take care of your daughter. But Marina, whatever you decide, decide fast. The longer this stays uncertain, the more dangerous it gets. Marina left Hal to secure the lab and drove to the school. Her mind wouldn't stop spinning. $100,000. It could change everything. Pay off debts, get them into a decent apartment, give Lily the stability she deserved. But it would mean giving up something potentially worth so much more. And it would mean letting someone else decide what happened to the Meridian Reef. Lily was waiting in the aftercare room, drawing. She looked up when Marina entered and her face lit up. Mommy, I drew the boat. The picture showed the Meridian Explorer, but in Lily's version, it was beautiful, painted bright colors, with fish swimming around it and sunshine overhead. The way a child saw possibility where adults only saw problems. It's perfect, baby. Can we go see her? Not tonight. Maybe tomorrow. On the drive home, Lily chattered about her day, about the science lesson on coral reefs, ironic timing, and how the teacher had said coral was dying and might disappear. Is that true, Mommy? Will all the coral die? Marina thought about the glowing formations in the tank, about MRC-7 and what it represented. Some people are working really hard to save it. I hope they do. The teacher showed us pictures. It's so pretty. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marina sat at their tiny kitchen table with Dr. Reef's journal. She read every page, trying to understand not just the science, but the man. His passion for the reef. His horror at what might happen if his discovery was exploited. His desperate hope that someone would care enough to protect it. On the last page, written in shaky handwriting, he'd added one final note. To whoever finds this, I don't know who you are or why you bought a worthless boat. Maybe you're desperate. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you're the right person. All I ask is that you remember the reef isn't just a resource. It's alive. It's ancient. It's irreplaceable. If MRC-7 can help people, wonderful. But not at the cost of destroying the very source that created it. Find another way. There's always another way. Marina closed the journal and stared at her bank statement. $16. Rent due in 9 days. No job. A daughter to feed. And a choice that shouldn't be this hard. Her phone lit up. Email from Catherine Westbrook. Ms. Collins, I understand you've received other offers. I'm authorized to go to $150,000 cash transferred today. All you have to do is give me access to the lab. No lawyers, no paperwork, no questions. This is your chance to walk away clean. $150,000. Marina opened her banking app. Changed the number in her head from 16 to $150,016. Imagine what that would mean. Security, opportunity, the ability to actually be the mother Lily deserved. She typed a response. I need to think about it. The reply came instantly. Thinking time is over. Yes or no? You have 1 hour. Marina set the phone down and walked to Lily's room. Her daughter slept peacefully, her drawing of the beautiful boat tacked to the wall above her bed. In Lily's world, everything broken could be fixed. Everything ugly could become beautiful. When had Marina stopped believing that? She thought about Jake, about the last conversation they'd had before the accident. He'd been worried about money, about providing, about being enough. And Marina had told him the same thing she'd told Lily about the bike. Everything's broken before it's fixed. We just have to keep trying. An hour later, Marina texted Catherine back. No. The response was immediate. You're making a mistake you'll regret. Maybe. Probably. But it was her mistake to make. Marina called Hal. I need your help. Not selling. I want to figure out how to do this right. How to develop MRC-7 without destroying the reef. Can you help me find people we can trust? Hal was quiet for a moment. Then, yeah, I can do that. It won't be easy. Nothing worth doing is. There's a marine biology professor at the university. Dr. Sarah Kim. She knew Dr. Reeves, respected his work. She might be willing to help. Can you contact her? Set up a meeting. First thing tomorrow. Marina, you sure about this? You're walking away from enough money to solve all your problems. My biggest problem is teaching my daughter that we can do hard things. That we don't have to sell out just because it's easier. Money would solve the immediate crisis. But what example would I be setting? After hanging up, Marina allowed herself one moment of doubt. One moment of wondering if she was being noble or stupid. If she was protecting something precious or throwing away her last chance at stability. Then she opened her laptop and started researching. Marine biology, drug development, patent law. She had no idea what she was doing, but Dr. Reeves had left detailed research. Someone smarter than her could understand it. Could figure out how to synthesize MRC-7 without destroying its source. All she had to do was survive long enough to find them. At midnight, there was a knock at her apartment door. Marina froze. Nobody knocked at midnight unless something was wrong. She checked the peephole. A man in a suit stood in the hallway. Professional, non-threatening, but the hour made it menacing. Ms. Collins? My name is James Porter. I'm an attorney. I'd like to discuss a business proposition. Marina didn't open the door. It's midnight. I apologize for the hour. My client is eager to resolve this matter quickly. May I come in? I promise. Just 5 minutes of your time. Your client being Helix Pharmaceutical? A pause. Actually, no. I represent a consortium of research institutions interested in preserving Dr. Reeves' work. We're prepared to offer you a very fair partnership arrangement. At midnight, Ms. Collins, you've turned down several substantial offers today. That's made certain people very nervous. People who don't handle rejection well. I'm here to offer you a lifeline before things get complicated. Marina felt ice in her stomach. Is that a threat? It's a reality. You have something valuable. People know it. The longer you hold on to it alone, the more danger you're in. My clients can offer protection, resources, legal support. All we ask is access to the research and reasonable compensation. Define reasonable. 10% of any commercial applications, plus a research grant in your name. You'd be set for life, and the reef would be protected. It sounded good. Almost too good. I'll think about it. Tomorrow might be too late. Then tomorrow might be too late. Good night, Mr. Porter. She heard him sigh, then footsteps receding down the hall. Marina locked the deadbolt, then the chain. Then she pushed a chair against the door for good measure. She checked on Lily, still sleeping peacefully, and sat on her own bed with her phone in her hand. She just turned down $150,000 and a percentage deal that could have been worth millions. All because a man she'd never met had trusted someone would protect his work. Either she was the bravest person alive or the dumbest. Morning would tell. Marina didn't sleep. She sat at her kitchen table with Dr. Reeves' journal, reading it again and again, trying to find something she'd missed. Some clue about what he'd wanted her to do. Some validation that she wasn't destroying her and Lily's life for nothing. At 5 in the morning, her phone rang. Hal, Marina, we have a problem. Someone tried to break into the boat last night. She was instantly alert. What happened? Security cameras caught 2 guys trying to force open the lab door. They didn't get in. I reinforced it after we left, but they tried for 20 minutes before giving up. I called the police. They took a report, but without knowing who sent them or what they were after, there's not much they can do. Did you tell them about the lab? No. Figured that was your call. But Marina, this is serious. These people aren't going to stop. Marina looked at Lily's closed bedroom door, at her daughter sleeping peacefully, unaware that her mother had put them both in danger by refusing money that would have made everything easy. What do I do? You meet with Dr. Kim. Today, we need someone with credibility, someone who can help us navigate this. I already called her. She's willing to meet at 11. Hal, I can't pay her. She doesn't want money. She wants to know what Reeves found. She was his friend. She deserves to know the truth. After hanging up, Marina made Lily breakfast and got her ready for school. Every moment felt surreal. Pouring cereal, packing lunch, checking homework, all of it normal, all of it a lie. Because nothing about their situation was normal anymore. Mommy, you look tired, Lily said, studying her face. Just didn't sleep well, baby. Were you thinking about the boat? Yeah, about the boat. Is something wrong with it? Marina looked at her 7-year-old daughter, so perceptive, so aware. She deserved the truth, or at least a version of it. I found something on the boat, something valuable, and now I have to figure out what to do with it. Lily's eyes widened. Like treasure. Sort of, but it's complicated. Some people want to buy it from me. They're offering a lot of money. Are you going to sell it? I don't know. The money would help us a lot. But the man who left it, he wanted someone to protect it, to make sure it was used the right way. Lily thought about this seriously. What would Daddy say? The question hit Marina like a physical blow. Jake. She hadn't thought about what he'd say in a long time. He'd been gone 4 years, and sometimes she could barely remember his voice. But she knew what he'd say about this. Daddy would say we do the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Lily nodded. Then that's what we should do. If only it were that simple. After dropping Lily at school, Marina drove to the marina. In daylight, with other boats around and people going about their business, everything felt less threatening. But she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I was waiting at the boat, looking haggard. You okay? He asked. No, but I'm here. Show me the damage. He led her to the lab door. Deep scratches marked the frame where someone had tried to pry it open. The reinforced hinges had held, but barely. They knew what they were looking for, Hal said. This wasn't random vandalism. They came prepared with tools. Marina photographed the damage. Should we move the samples? Hide them somewhere else. Where? You can't exactly carry a tank of living coral through town without people noticing. And we don't know how sensitive the formations are. Moving them might kill them. So we just wait for them to try again? No, we get ahead of this. That's why we're meeting Dr. Kim. The university was 20 minutes inland, a sprawling campus that made Marina feel even more out of place than the auction had. Students rushed past with backpacks and coffee, absorbed in their own worlds. None of them knew that the tired woman in yesterday's clothes held the key to a potential billion-dollar discovery. Dr. Sarah Kim's office was in the Marine Science Building, 3rd floor. A petite woman in her 50s answered their knock, her face lighting up when she saw Hal. Hal, it's been too long. Then, turning to Marina, and you must be Miss Collins. Please come in. The office was cramped but organized, every surface covered with research papers, coral samples in jars, and photographs of underwater reefs. Dr. Kim cleared chairs for them to sit. Hal tells me you bought the Meridian Explorer. For $700, Marina confirmed. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone was probably right. That boat is a disaster. Dr. Kim smiled kindly. But Hal also tells me you found something in the sealed laboratory. Marina pulled out her phone and showed her the photos. The glowing tank, the crystalline formations. Dr. Kim's hand went to her mouth. My God, he kept them alive. After 4 years, he kept them alive. You know what they are? I know what Marcus thought they were. He showed me preliminary samples 5 years ago. Said he'd found something extraordinary in the Meridian Reef. A symbiotic organism that lived on the coral, part bacteria, part fungus, part something we'd never classified. It produced compounds he'd never seen before. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I told him to publish, to share it with the scientific community. He said he couldn't. That would destroy the reef. He was right, Marina said. She handed over Dr. Reeves' journal. Read this. Dr. Kim spent the next 20 minutes reading, her expression shifting from wonder to horror to understanding. When she finished, she set the journal down carefully. MRC7. He actually isolated it. She looked at Marina. Do you understand what you have? Something worth a lot of money to a lot of bad people. More than that, you have a potential cure for diseases that kill millions. But you also have the last viable samples of an organism that might be extinct in the wild. The Meridian Reef has been declining for years. If these formations are gone from their natural habitat, this tank might be all that's left. Can they be synthesized? Can we make MRC7 without destroying the source? Dr. Kim studied the photos again. Maybe, probably, but it would take years of research. Genetic sequencing, chemical analysis, synthesis trials. We'd need funding, lab space, a team of scientists. How much funding? Millions, at least initially. Then tens of millions for clinical trials if it proves viable. Marina's heart sank. I have $16. But you have the source. That's worth everything. Dr. Kim leaned forward. Ms. Collins, I'm going to be blunt. Pharmaceutical companies will pay you a fortune for this, and then they'll strip mine that reef until it's gone. They'll synthesize MRC7 eventually, sure, but only after taking everything they can from the natural source first. That's how the industry works. So what do? You partner with people who care more about the science than the profit. Universities, research institutes, conservation groups. It'll take longer. You won't get rich quick. But you'll protect the reef, and eventually, when MRC7 is commercialized, you'll get your share. Plus the satisfaction of knowing you did it right. I can't wait years. I'm about to be evicted. I have no job. I have a 7-year-old daughter who needs stability. Dr. Kim and Hal exchanged glances. What if, Dr. Kim said slowly, we could get you emergency funding, enough to live on while we develop a proper research plan. I have discretionary grant money. It's not much, but I could probably allocate $20,000 as a preliminary research stipend. That will buy you time. $20,000. Not as much as the offer she'd turned down, but enough. Enough to survive while they figured out the right path. What would you need from me? Access to the samples. Dr. Reeves' research. And partnership. You maintain ownership, but you work with us to develop this responsibly. Why should I trust you? Dr. Kim smiled sadly. Because Marcus trusted me. We were friends for 20 years. He knew I'd never exploit his work. That's probably why he didn't tell me about this. To protect me from the people who'd come looking. She gestured to the journal. But he left clues. He wanted someone to find it. Someone who needed it badly enough to take a chance. That's you. Marina thought about Dr. Reeves, about his faith that the right person would find his work, about Lily asking what Daddy would say. Okay, partnership, but I need that $20,000 now. Today. I have rent due in a week and no way to pay it. I'll make the calls. It'll be processed as a research grant to cover your time as a research assistant. Perfectly legitimate. The money should be in your account by Monday. Monday, for days away. Marina's rent was due in 7 days. It would be close, but it might work. And in the meantime, Hal asked, what about the people trying to break into the boat? Dr. Kim considered this. We moved the samples here to the university. We have secure labs, 24-hour security. I can store the tank in my research facility. Once it's here, it's protected by institutional rules. They can't just break in and steal it. How do we move it without everyone knowing? Very carefully. Tonight, after dark, I'll arrange for a truck and some grad students I trust. Hal, you'll need to supervise the transfer. Those formations are fragile. Marina felt a weight lifting. A plan. Allies. People who actually seem to care about more than just money. There's one more thing, Dr. Kim said. If we're doing this right, we need to patent the synthesis process before anyone else can. That means filing preliminary patents immediately. I have a colleague in the university's tech transfer office. She can fast-track it, but we'll need detailed notes about the chemical composition. It's all in Dr. Reeves' computer, Marina said. In the lab, but it's password protected. Bring it here. We have people who can crack it. For research purposes, of course. For the first time in days, Marina felt hope. Not the desperate hope of a gambler betting everything on one spin, but real hope. The hope that came from having smart people on your side. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Last chance. $200,000. Midnight tonight. After that, we stopped being nice. She showed it to Dr. Kim, who frowned. They're getting desperate. That's good and bad. Good because it means they don't have other options. Bad because desperate people do stupid things. Should I be scared? You should be careful. Don't go anywhere alone. Don't let anyone know where you're staying. And definitely don't go back to that boat by yourself. Marina thought about her apartment, about how James Porter had found her there at midnight. They already know where I live. Then you need to stay somewhere else. Tonight, at least. Do you have friends? Family. She almost laughed. Friends required a social life she'd never had time for. Family was just her and Lily. No. Then stay on campus. We have guest housing for visiting researchers. I can set it up. You and your daughter, fully secured. Just for a few nights until we get the samples moved and the situation stabilized. It felt like running, like hiding. But Marina thought about Lily, about keeping her safe. Pride wasn't worth her daughter's safety. Okay, thank you. After leaving Dr. Kim's office, Marina called the school and arranged early pickup for Lily. Emergency family situation, she told them. Not entirely a lie. Lily was surprised, but excited to leave early. Are we going to boat? Not today. We're going somewhere safe. Just for a little while. Safe from what? Marina looked at her daughter's trusting face. From people who want to take something that doesn't belong to them. They packed quickly at the apartment. Clothes, Lily's favorite books, the essentials. Marina kept watching the windows, expecting to see someone watching. But the street looked normal. Quiet. The guest housing on campus was a small furnished apartment, basic but clean. Lily loved it immediately, exploring every room like an adventure. It's like a hotel, mommy. Kind of. We're just staying here temporarily while some friends help us with the boat. What friends? Dr. Kim. She's a scientist. She knew the man who owned the boat before us. She's going to help us figure out something important. The treasure thing? Yeah, the treasure thing. That evening, while Lily did homework, Marina met Hal and Dr. Kim back at the marina. They brought a rental truck and 3 graduate students, 2 men and a woman, all in their 20s, all sworn to secrecy. Moving the tank was nerve-wracking. The formations were delicate, the water perfectly balanced. Dr. Kim supervised every step, checking pH levels, temperature, making sure nothing was disturbed. It took 3 hours to carefully load the tank, secure it, and transport it to the university. By the time they had it installed in Dr. Kim's research lab, it was past 11. Marina stood in the climate-controlled laboratory, surrounded by equipment she didn't understand, watching the formations glow in their new home. They seemed unchanged by the move, still pulsing with that gentle bioluminescence. "They're stable," Dr. Kim confirmed, checking readings. "Remarkable. Marcus designed this system to be self-sustaining. As long as we maintain power and occasional water changes, they should thrive." "How long until you can start analyzing them?" "I'll begin tomorrow. Carefully, non-invasively. We'll start with water samples, test the MRC7 concentration, verify Marcus's findings. Then we'll work on synthesis." She looked at Marina. "This is going to take time. Months, maybe years. Are you prepared for that?" "Do I have a choice?" "You always have a choice. You could still sell. Take the money and walk away." Marina thought about the texts, the offers, the threats. About $200,000 that would solve every problem. But she also thought about the Reef. About Dr. Reeves spending 4 years in hiding to protect it. About Lily learning that some things mattered more than money. "No, we're doing this right." Dr. Kim smiled. "Good. Then let's get to work." Over the next 3 days, Marina fell into a strange new routine. Mornings, she took Lily to school, then went to Dr. Kim's lab to help however she could. Mostly she just watched, learned, asked questions. Dr. Kim was patient, explaining the science in terms Marina could understand. The MRC7 compound was even more remarkable than Dr. Reeves' notes suggested. Preliminary tests showed anti-inflammatory properties beyond anything currently available. Cell regeneration that seemed almost miraculous. Dr. Kim ran tests over and over, certain she must be making mistakes, but the results stayed consistent. "This could change medicine," she said on the 3rd day. "Autoimmune diseases, tissue damage, degenerative conditions. MRC7 shows promise for all of it." Marcus wasn't exaggerating. "Can you synthesize it?" "Eventually. We've identified the key compounds. Now I need to figure out how the formations produce them, then replicate that process artificially. It's complex, but not impossible." Meanwhile, Hal worked on the Meridian Explorer. With the lab emptied and the samples safe, he focused on making the boat functional again. Just basic systems, enough to move it if needed, enough to make it look like restoration was happening. "Cover," he explained. "Anyone watching needs to think you're just fixing up a boat, not harboring a billion-dollar discovery." The grant money hit Marina's account on Monday morning. $20,000. She paid her rent immediately, then bought groceries, real groceries, with fresh vegetables and meat that wasn't on sale. She paid Lily's school fees. She bought her daughter new shoes that actually fit. It felt like breathing after being underwater too long. But the threats didn't stop. Every day brought new messages, new offers. 250,000, 300,000, each one coming with darker implications. "Your daughter is beautiful. It would be a shame if anything happened to her." That one, Marina reported to the police. They took it seriously, filed reports, increased patrols around Lily's school. But they couldn't do anything without knowing who was sending the messages. "Burner phones," the detective told her. "Untraceable. We see it a lot with organized crime." Organized crime. The words made Marina's blood run cold. Thursday afternoon, Dr. Kim called her into the lab with unusual urgency. "We've cracked Marcus's computer. You need to see this." The laptop was open, displaying folder after folder of research. But Dr. Kim had opened a specific file, a video recording. Marcus made this 2 days before he disappeared. She pressed play. Dr. Reeves appeared on screen. He looked exhausted, frightened, but determined. His voice was steady. "If you're watching this, it means someone found the lab. I hope it's someone who can be trusted. I'm Dr. Marcus Reeves, and I'm recording this because I may not survive to tell this story in person. 5 years ago, I discovered the Meridian formations while diving the reef. At first, I thought they were a natural variation of known coral species. But preliminary analysis showed something incredible. A unique symbiotic organism producing compounds unlike anything in our databases. I made a mistake. I share my findings with the Coastal Marine Institute Board. Within weeks, Helix Pharmaceutical had approached the institute with a research partnership. Generous funding in exchange for exclusive rights to any discoveries. I refused. The board pressured me, said I was being selfish, that the potential medical applications were too important to gatekeep. But I'd seen the reef. I knew what commercial harvesting would do. The formations are slow-growing, fragile. Stripping them would destroy the entire ecosystem. When I continued to refuse, things got ugly. Threats. My research notes were stolen from my office. Someone broke into my home. The institute gave Helix my raw data without my consent. So I went back to the reef. I collected the last viable samples I could find. Already, illegal harvesting had begun. Someone was scraping formations, selling them on the black market. Within a year, the natural population was nearly extinct. I built the tank, sealed the lab, and made preparations to disappear. The formations in that tank are likely the last of their kind. If I'm right about MRC-7, they represent a medical breakthrough that could help millions. But only if we can synthesize it without destroying the source. I'm leaving all my research. Everything you need to understand the science, to replicate the compounds artificially. But please, protect these last formations. Don't let them be destroyed for profit. And to whoever finds this, I'm sorry for leaving this burden on you. But I'm trusting that if you were brave enough to open that door, you're brave enough to do the right thing. The video ended. Marina sat in silence, absorbing it. Dr. Reeves hadn't just disappeared to protect his research. He'd disappeared because staying meant either surrendering to Helix or dying at their hands. The institute gave them his data, Dr. Kim said quietly. Without consent. That's why Helix thinks they have a legal claim. They funded research that produced the preliminary findings. But Dr. Reeves refused to continue under their partnership. Exactly. Which means anything he discovered after breaking ties is his intellectual property. And now it's yours. Helix won't see it that way. No, they'll fight. They'll claim the later discoveries were built on their funded research. It'll be ugly. Marina thought about the threats, the break-in attempts, the escalating offers. They're not just going to fight legally, are they? Dr. Kim's expression was grim. Probably not. The pharmaceutical industry can be ruthless when billions are at stake. So what do? We file the patents immediately. Establish your legal claim before they can contest it. And we go public, not with the samples, but with the story. Make you sympathetic. A single mother who found a medical breakthrough and chose to protect it rather than sell out. Public opinion is a powerful shield. I don't want to be public. I just want to keep my daughter safe and do the right thing. I know, but sometimes the right thing requires visibility. If Helix comes after you in the dark, they might win. But in the light, with media attention and public support, they have to play by the rules. Marina felt sick. She bought a boat for $700. All she'd wanted was a chance at something better. Now she was caught in a war with pharmaceutical companies and organized crime, and her daughter was a potential target. I can't do this, she said. It's too much. I should just give him the samples and walk away. Dr. Kim grabbed her hand. Marina, listen to me. If you give in now, the reef dies. The formations get harvested to extinction. And Helix patents everything, charges whatever they want, and millions of people who could be helped can't afford treatment. Is that what you want? I want my daughter to be safe. Then we make her safe. We get ahead of this. We control the narrative. Dr. Kim pulled up a contact on her phone. I have a friend at the New York Times. Science reporter, Pulitzer winner, someone we can trust. Let me call her. Let's tell your story the right way. Marina wanted to say no, wanted to grab Lily and run. But running meant giving up. And she'd spent 4 years surviving by never giving up, no matter how hard things got. Okay, she said finally. Make the call. The reporter, Jessica Torres, arrived the next day. She spent 6 hours interviewing Marina, Dr. Kim, and Hal. She photographed the boat, the empty lab, the documents. She was sharp, thorough, and genuinely moved by the story. This is incredible, she said. A single mother, a disappearing scientist, a medical breakthrough, corporate corruption. It's got everything. When I run this, it's going to blow up. When? Marina asked. Sunday edition. Front page of the science section, probably picked up by national media by Monday. Sunday, 3 days away. Will it help? Will it protect us? Jessica considered this carefully. It'll make it much harder for anyone to hurt you quietly. Once you're a public figure, once people know your name and story, you're protected by visibility. But it'll also paint a target on your back. Everyone with an interest in MRC-7 will know exactly where to find you. She's already got a target, Dr. Kim said. At least this way, she has armor too. That night, Marina couldn't sleep. She lay in the unfamiliar bed in the campus guest housing, listening to Lily breathe in the next room, and wondered if she'd made the right choice. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. We know about the article. Stop it from running, and we'll forget this whole thing. Let it publish, and you'll regret it. Marina screenshot the text and sent it to Jessica Torres. The response came immediately. Perfect. This makes the story even better. Corporate intimidation, threats against a single mother. Readers will eat this up. Don't back down. Easy for her to say. She wasn't the one being threatened. But Marina thought about Dr. Reeves, who'd sacrificed everything rather than surrender. About Lily, who believed her mother was brave. About all the people who might be helped by MRC-7 if it was developed and distributed fairly. She typed back to the unknown number, publish and be damned. It was something Jake used to say when facing difficult choices. A quote from some historical figure she couldn't remember, but it felt right. Saturday morning, Dr. Kim called. The patents are filed. As of 8 a.m. today, you're the legal owner of the MRC-7 synthesis process. Anyone who wants to use it has to license it from you. What does that mean financially? If it's commercialized, you get royalties. Industry standard is 5 to 10% of gross sales. If MRC-7 becomes what we think it could become, that's hundreds of millions over time. Hundreds of millions. The number was too big to process. But the patents can be contested, right? Oh, Helix will definitely contest. They'll claim prior art, claim their preliminary funding entitled them to derivative discoveries, throw everything they can at it. But we have Marcus's video. We have documentation that he broke ties before making the key breakthroughs. We have a strong case. How long will it take to resolve? Years. Patent litigation is slow. But in the meantime, you own it. And anyone who tries to develop it without your permission is in violation. That afternoon, Marina took Lily to the campus lake. They fed ducks, talked about nothing important, pretended everything was normal. But Lily wasn't fooled. Mommy, are we in trouble? Marina looked at her daughter. Kind of, but we're handling it. Is it because of the boat treasure? Yeah. Do you wish you'd never found it? Marina thought about the stress, the fear, the threats. About how much simpler life would be if she'd just walked away from the sealed door. But she also thought about MRC-7, about what it could mean for people suffering from diseases that had no cure. About the reef, protected rather than destroyed. About teaching Lily that doing the right thing mattered. No, baby, I don't wish that. It's hard, but it's important. Sometimes important things are hard, like when Daddy was sick. The question caught Marina off guard. They rarely talked about Jake's illness. Those final months when he'd been in pain, when treatments failed, when they'd both known he was dying but pretended otherwise for Lily's sake. Yeah, like that. We did the hard thing because it was right. We took care of him. We loved him, even when it hurt. I miss him. Me too, baby. Every day. They sat together on the grass, watching ducks paddle across the water. And Marina made a silent promise to Jake, wherever he was. She'd protect Lily. She'd do the right thing. And she wouldn't let fear make her choices. Sunday morning came. Marina's phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. Journalists wanting interviews, researchers wanting collaboration, investors wanting deals. Dr. Kim had warned her this would happen, had helped her prepare a statement. Ms. Collins is committed to developing MRC-7 through ethical partnership with research institutions. She's not interested in selling to pharmaceutical companies. All media inquiries should be directed to Dr. Sarah Kim at the university. But the attention was overwhelming. By noon, the story had been picked up by CNN, The Washington Post, Nature magazine. Single mother's billion-dollar discovery was trending on social media. Strangers recognized her in the grocery store. Lily's school called asking about security protocols. The university assigned them a media relations handler. Marina's life had become public property overnight. Monday morning brought the lawsuit. Helix Pharmaceutical filed an injunction claiming ownership of MRC-7 based on their original research partnership with Dr. Reeves. They demanded immediate access to all samples and research. Dr. Kim's lawyer was ready. They filed countermotions, produced Dr. Reeves' video, demonstrated the timeline of his discoveries. The judge scheduled a hearing for 2 weeks out. 2 weeks to prove your case, the lawyer told Marina. In the meantime, don't let anyone access the samples. Don't discuss the research publicly. And for God's sake, don't accept any more threatening messages without reporting them. But the real shock came Tuesday afternoon. Marina was at Dr. Kim's lab, watching tests run on MRC-7 samples when 2 men in suits walked in. Campus security was with them. Dr. Kim? Marina Collins? I'm Agent Frank Morrison, FBI. We need to talk about Dr. Marcus Reeves. Marina's stomach dropped. What about him? We have reason to believe he's alive, and we think he might try to contact you. They moved to a secure conference room. Agent Morrison laid out photographs, surveillance images from various locations over the past 4 years. A man who might be Dr. Reeves in Mexico City. The same man, maybe in Vancouver. Grainy, unclear, but possible. We've been tracking him as part of a larger investigation into pharmaceutical industry corruption. Dr. Reeves isn't our target, but he's a witness to practices we're very interested in. If he contacts you, we need to know. Why would he contact me? Marina asked. Because you have his life's work. Because you're fighting the same people he ran from. And because according to everything we know about him, he cares deeply about that reef. He won't be able to stay away forever. After the agents left, Marina sat with Dr. Kim in silence. Do you think he's alive? Marina finally asked. I hope so. Marcus was a good man. He deserves to see his work completed, to know it wasn't all for nothing. If he is alive, if he contacts me, should I tell the FBI? Dr. Kim considered this. That's your call. But remember, the FBI wants him for their investigation. They don't necessarily care about protecting the reef or developing MRC-7 ethically. They have their own agenda. Marina thought about Dr. Reeves' video, about his fear, his desperation, his hope that someone would continue his work. If he contacts me, I'll listen to what he has to say first. Then I'll decide. Wednesday brought a break in the case. Dr. Kim's analysis revealed something remarkable. The formations were reproducing. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, but new growth was forming on the edges of the original samples. If we can accelerate this growth cycle, Dr. Kim explained, we might be able to cultivate more formations without harvesting the reef. Sustainable production. It changes everything. How long would that take? To perfect the cultivation process? 6 months, maybe a year. But it's possible. Marina, this means we might not need to synthesize MRC-7 at all. We could farm it. The implications were staggering. Sustainable production meant the reef could be protected completely. No harvesting, no extinction risk. Just careful cultivation in controlled environments. But it also meant the samples were even more valuable. Not just for what they produced, but for their reproductive capacity. Marina's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, expecting another threat. But something made her pick up. Ms. Collins? A man's voice. Older, tired but kind. Yes. This is Marcus Reeves. I think we need to talk. Marina's heart stopped. She looked at Dr. Kim, mouthed, it's him. Dr. Reeves, you're alive. Obviously. Though I've been many people over the past 4 years. Currently, I'm Tom Mitchell, fishing boat captain in Belize. But that's not important. What's important is that you found my research. And from what I've seen in the news, you're trying to do the right thing with it. I'm trying. People are making it very difficult. Welcome to my world. Listen, I can't talk long, but you need to know something. The formations you have, they're more than just MRC-7 producers. They're a complete ecosystem. Bacteria, fungi, microscopic organisms all working together. You can't synthesize that in a lab. You have to cultivate it. Dr. Kim, just figure that out. Good. Sarah's brilliant. Trust her. But here's what she doesn't know yet. The formations need specific conditions to reproduce properly. Temperature, salinity, light spectrum. I documented everything in a separate file on my laptop. Password is Meridian 1997. Why are you telling me this? Because you're fighting for my life's work. Because you turned down money to protect the reef. And because I've been watching you, Ms. Collins. You remind me of why I became a scientist in the first place. Not for profit or prestige, but because some things matter more than personal gain. The FBI is looking for you. I know. They've been looking for 4 years. They won't find me unless I want to be found. He paused. Tell Sarah I'm sorry. For leaving. For not trusting her with the truth. I thought I was protecting her. I see now I was just scared. Will you come back? Help us develop this properly? I can't. Not yet. There are people who want me dead, and my being alive puts you in danger. But I'm watching. When it's safe, when MRC7 is protected by patents and publicity and legitimate research, maybe then I can surface. Until then, keep fighting. You're doing everything right. Dr. Reeves, take care of the formations. They're the future, not just for medicine, but for understanding how life adapts, how ecosystems collaborate. They're precious. You're precious for protecting them. He hung up. Marina sat there, phone in hand, processing. Dr. Reeves was alive, watching, supporting her from wherever he was hiding. What did he say? Dr. Kim asked. Marina told her everything, including the apology. Dr. Kim's eyes filled with tears. He's alive. That brilliant, paranoid, beautiful fool is alive. They accessed the laptop file immediately. Dr. Reeves had been thorough. Pages of notes on cultivation, growth cycles, optimal conditions. Everything they'd need to farm the formations sustainably. This is it, Dr. Kim breathed. This is how we win. We don't fight Helix over harvesting rights. We bypass them entirely. We cultivate our own supply, patent the cultivation process, and produce MRC7 without touching the reef. How long? With this data, we could have viable cultivation within 6 months, full production within a year. And once we can demonstrate sustainable production, every argument Helix has falls apart. Marina felt something unfamiliar. Not hope exactly. Certainty. For the first time since buying the Meridian Explorer, she was certain they could actually do this. Her phone buzzed. Email from Jessica Torres at the New York Times. FYI, Helix stock dropped 8% today on news of sustainable cultivation possibilities. Keep fighting. You're winning. Winning. It was a strange word for how Marina felt. Exhausted, scared, overwhelmed. But maybe that's what winning looked like when you were fighting battles too big for one person. She thought about Dr. Reeves, hiding somewhere tropical, watching the news, and seeing his work continued. She thought about Lily, who'd drawn pictures of the Meridian Explorer covered in flowers. She thought about Jake, who'd always said the right thing was worth fighting for. And she thought about herself, the waitress who'd counted out $700 in quarters and dimes to buy a sinking boat, who'd been laughed at, threatened, offered fortunes to give up, who'd said no every time. Maybe that was winning too. Thursday afternoon, Lily came home from school excited. Mommy, my teacher said you're famous. She showed us the article about the boat and the medicine. Marina's heart sank. She'd hoped to keep Lily's school life separate from all this. What did she say? That you're helping sick people and that you're protecting coral reefs. She said you're a hero. A hero. Marina almost laughed. She didn't feel heroic. She felt like someone barely keeping her head above water. But looking at Lily's proud, shining face, maybe that was enough. I'm just trying to do the right thing, baby. That's what heroes do, Mommy. That's what Daddy would say. And there it was. The validation Marina hadn't known she needed. From the one person whose opinion mattered most. Friday brought the custody letter. Lily's father's parents, Jake's parents, who'd never bothered to visit after their son died, who'd sent one sympathy card and disappeared from their lives, were filing for emergency custody. Based on recent media coverage showing Ms. Collins involved in dangerous situations, receiving threats, and unable to provide stable housing for the minor child. Marina read it 3 times, each time feeling more sick. They were using her fight to protect MRC7 against her, claiming she was putting Lily in danger, demanding immediate custody evaluation. She called the lawyer Dr. Kim had connected her with. He was blunt. They have a case. Not a strong one, but when grandparents claim a parent is endangering a child, courts take it seriously. You'll need to show stability, security, that Lily isn't in actual danger. How do I do that when people are literally threatening us? You settle the Helix case. You end the threats. You get back to normal life as quickly as possible. I can't just settle. That means giving up everything Dr. Reeves protected. Then you might lose your daughter. The words hit like a physical blow. Lose Lily. Have her taken away by people who never cared, who were only interested now because of publicity and money. That night, Marina sat Lily down for a serious conversation. Baby, your grandparents, Daddy's parents, they want you to come live with them for a while. Lily's eyes went huge. I don't want to. I don't even know them. I know. And I'm going to fight to make sure you stay with me. But it might get complicated. They're saying that the situation with the boat is dangerous for you. Is it? Marina thought about the threats, the break-ins, the FBI agents. It's been scary sometimes, but I've been keeping you safe. I know you have. I feel safe with you, Mommy. I don't want to go live with strangers. They're not strangers. They're Daddy's parents. Daddy never talked about them. He said they weren't nice to him. Why would they be nice to me? Good question. One Marina had been asking herself. I won't let them take you, she promised. Whatever I have to do, you're staying with me. But as she said it, she wondered if she could keep that promise. If protecting MRC-7 meant risking Lily's custody, what was the right choice? Saturday morning, Dr. Kim called with news. The cultivation is working. We've got new growth, healthy formations, faster than Marcus predicted. At this rate, we could have production-scale cultivation in 4 months instead of 6. For months. Fast enough to matter. Fast enough to make Helix's claims irrelevant before the custody hearing. What do you need from me? Nothing. Just keep being you. Keep fighting. We're almost there, Marina. We're so close. That afternoon, Marina took Lily back to the Meridian Explorer. Hal had been working on it steadily, and while it wasn't beautiful yet, it was functional. The deck was solid. The cabin was clean. The engines were being rebuilt. Want to see what we're doing? Hal asked Lily. He showed her the progress, explaining each repair in terms a 7-year-old could understand. Lily listened with total focus, asking smart questions. When it's done, can we sail it? Sure can. Not sure where yet, but she'll be seaworthy. Marina stood on the deck, looking out at the water. This boat had changed everything, had revealed treasures and dangers in equal measure, had tested her in ways she'd never imagined. But standing here with Lily and Hal, watching the sunset paint the water gold, Marina couldn't regret it. Not the $700, not the sleepless nights, not even the threats. Because this had given her something she hadn't had in 4 years. Purpose beyond survival. The chance to matter for something bigger than herself. Her phone buzzed. Email from the lawyer. Custody hearing scheduled 2 weeks from today. Start gathering documentation of stable home environment, financial security, Lily's well-being. We need to show you're fit to parent despite the chaos. 2 weeks. The same timeline as the Helix hearing. Everything was coming to a head at once. Marina looked at Lily, who was helping Hal sort through tools, her face serious with concentration. At this child who'd never complained, never demanded, never asked why their life was harder than other kids' lives. I won't lose you, Marina whispered. Whatever it costs, I won't lose you. And in that moment, she made a decision. If it came down to MRC-7 or Lily, there was no contest. She'd give all up, the samples, the patents, the potential billions. She'd hand it to Helix with a smile if it meant keeping her daughter. Dr. Reeves would understand. He'd disappear to protect his work, but he'd never had a child depending on him. He'd never had to choose between doing the right thing for the world and doing the right thing for the one person who mattered most. The sun set completely, leaving them in darkness broken only by dock lights. Hal locked up the boat, and they walked back to the parking lot together. You okay? Hal asked quietly. No, but I will be. One way or another, I will be. Because that's what she did. What she'd always done. She survived. She adapted. She protected Lily above everything else. And if protecting Lily meant letting the reef die and MRC-7 7 fall into the wrong hands. Then that's what she'd do. Some treasures were worth more than all the coral in the ocean. Her daughter was one of them. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.